Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, it's late at night. So another one of my kind of insomnia things or weird sleeping schedules. Um, but if you hear anything in the background like a dripping sound, it's because faucets are dripping. We're still in this. I think they said it's going to be like 80 something hours of below freezing temperature that we've had here, and some of it's been pretty brutal. The winds died down, so. But this is going to be a rambly video, and I'm going to talk about a few different things, and I have no idea exactly where this is going, but you know. But when I do my videos, a lot of times I want to convey information to you, but it's also like I'm talking to someone that's there. I mean, that's not just like this is out to the random. I don't know who you are that's watching this, but it's the way I would talk to you if I, was right there is because that's just the way I do it. All right, now, first one is Sporks. And I don't know, you hear that? There's cats meowing outside. If it's done properly, like this one's not bad. It's the tines are out there enough that it can kind of work as a fork, and it has enough of a belly in here to still be a spoon. I think a better version of it is this. It's not perfect because if you're trying to use a spoon and a fork at the same time, one of them's going to have some liquid on its hand or some goop or whatever. Like if you switch to this, you'd have to do a balancing act. I mean, you could do it. That's the only disadvantage of that. A better version of this is to cut this in half, put a little bolt and screw right there, and then have this thing pivot. If you want to be super elegant in your design, you would have little wings that lock in, like a little U-shaped piece, so it lines up perfectly. It doesn't pivot around when you tighten it down. And instead of a bolt, maybe have a wing nut that you can tie with your hands. But that way, this size reduces and folds down here. Because that's the main thing you're trying to do is you're trying to save the weight of another fork, Now, see, this is the way a fork should be. Look at those tines, man. The reason for a fork is so that you could stick meat pretty good. If you get some of these little dainty ones, look, really, this is the depth. This is the depth that you've got. That's as far as you can stick, because these other ones are not going to go very far. That's as far as you can stick. Look at these, man. You can go all the way down to here. Might make a big difference if you're trying to go for a big chunk of meat or something, But anyway, yeah, that's one thing. Cutlery, If you've got a good spoon, you don't even need a good spoon if you know how to whittle and stuff. You can make your own. The same way, I guess, with a fork, but it's kind of hard to get wood to be tough enough, to hold up and not be brittle, whereas metal, is a little bit better, or even plastic a lot of times. So that's one thing. I'm not a big fan of sporks. I never have been, and for the reasons. I've tried to use it as a fork, and it's like, oh my God. You wind up just trying to scoop it up and use it as a spoon, which there's a reason why a spoon was invented, fork was invented, and a knife was invented. Kind of like the traditional. I mean, you got a lot more cutlery that's involved, little specialized things, but those were the standards, and there's a reason for it. If you don't have something that you can sip up liquids with, that's what a spoon, is for, like liquids and everything. If it's got a big hole or it's trying to get too much like a fork and becomes a spoon, then it's not a spork and it's not a fork. Anyways, yeah. The other thing is, in your effort to get into compactness on cutlery, if you've got like long bags and stuff, you might need a long handle on some of these. So yeah, I don't know, there's a perfect one. Let me show you another set here. All right, this is from the Hungarian military. All right, it's a cutlery set that, oh, sorry, bouncing around here. Come out, y'all. All right, so you have basically a cap lifter and can opener. Got a nice can opener here, and this is, a bottle cap lifter. And it's separate. I think this is stainless steel. All right, you got a very nice spoon. Nice big wide spoon. Sturdy. Uh-oh, hand model violation. And here's a little crest on it. I think I got this on Amazon. And this is another one of those things that happened. I knew I bought this. I saw it on my Amazon list of things I had bought before. And I'm like, where the hell is this? It was in a bag. It was in a bag, and I eventually found it. Look at that fork. Now, these guys could be a little bit more pointy, but I guess it'll work. It's nice and sharp. It could be a little more pointy. Then this is, it's got this little crest here, like two rifles. Let me see if we can zoom in. I don't know if this glare is going to help. I think it's two rifles. Anyway. And then, this is an odd one here. You got a serrated knife. And you think, all right, serrated knife. Look at that edge. I mean, was it designed that way? Because that's not... Look. Maybe it's designed not to... But what knife is designed not to cut? And a serrated would go all the way down, right? I mean, if you did this, you would... And you can see they're kind of uneven. See, over here. Let me zoom this in. But isn't that weird? I thought about putting a bevel on them. Or, taking a little rat tail file. And just trying to make those more... I mean, this part works. Maybe it's just a bread knife, And more of a butter knife. Because there's a reason why butter knives and stuff don't have a sharpened edge on them. It's because you don't want them to be sharp. But with a knife, you want to cut something. So with serrations, this is possible to cut steak. I haven't done it yet with this. I'm going to try it before I modify it, if I modify it. But yeah, I thought that was kind of strange. Now, this adds some weight and everything, but it's a nice little set that you keep all together. It's metal, it's stainless steel. It's got to go where the knife sits. It's got to go to a certain... You got to put it back together a certain way. It's not super compact, but it's a full-size set. You can get your hand on the utensils. So yeah, that's kind of cool. That's different from, like you could go the hobo knife route and everything, but I mean, if you go with case and everything, man, they got some rich hobos, man. Those things are over $100 usually, and you can get an Ozark Trail for like $5 or $10. That's a true hobo knife, because hobos, hey man, they're not rich. That's why they're riding the rails. I'm talking about old school hobos. A lot of people call homeless people hobos. No, that's not the same. Homeless and people that, back in the days, hobos were kind of like a society of people that, they may have had a checkered past or something like that, but they basically were migrant workers. The best way to travel long distance was on a train, but that's considered, like illegal. So the train, people, the engineers and everything else, were usually on the lookout for those. They didn't want freeloaders, free rides and everything. And they weren't always, back in the day, they weren't always, like, hey, please get off, sir. And all. No, they got physical with them, And so hobos had their own little thing, but they had some, you talk about survival living, Whenever you get to where you don't have any income, you just got to make do of the resources around you, that's when you learn some really good tricks, skills, and stuff that you will never learn in most colleges or anything like that, or any school. They won't teach you this, but it's one of those life lessons that Life will teach you one day, and uh, that's why I say, being rich, this is ridiculous. I heard on the news that eventually, pretty soon, we're going to have the first trillionaire. Let's think about that. What's been going on lately? Like a lot of people are blaming inflation and everything. What's been going on is a big transfer of wealth from the poor and the middle class to the ultra rich, and it's it just pisses me off because it's all right to be a certain amount of rich, but trillionaire, come on, man. At that point, you've got to be majorly contributing to society in a positive way, not with your own little hidden agendas or, oh, I think we should ban this, or I think we should do this, or mandate. No. Something positive for humanity that gives more freedom, not less, that gives more rights, that respects people more, that doesn't steal from them. Basically, this is a rant and everything, but basically capitalism and most other forms of society are based upon exploiting the people below them in order to make the masters or the owners or the CEOs more rich. And as long as they didn't get too carried away with it, as long as the disparity between the rich and the poor didn't get too high, most people could tolerate that. You're like, you're giving us enough to get by and everything. But when it gets down to where people are losing everything, and it's based upon bad monetary policies, and it's not just on, you can't just blame Democrats. It was Republicans and Democrats both have run up our debt to a crazy amount. Oh, that's a pandemic. We just need to spend. Well, you're going to have to pay for it sooner or later. And when inflation goes up, then the debt that we owe, the amount that we owe on the national debt jumps up. And it just gets to be a point where sooner or later something's got to give. And that's when I think they're going to sneak in digital currency and everything. And digital currency is just another way of just controlling what you do. If you work hard, whatever job it is, and you get paid, whatever that pay is, whatever amount it is, that's your money. After you pay your taxes, you should be able to spend it on whatever you want. If it's illegal, well then, they're going to get you for it being illegal. But it's your money. The way digital currency would work, they would know exactly what you spend your money on everything. And if they didn't think it was socially approved, they wouldn't allow it. Now, the only way digital currency is going to be able to work is if you eliminate paper money or coins, if you eliminate that. So it wouldn't surprise me if I see this coming up in the future. And I know I'm not pushing buy gold and silver and all this other stuff. I just think it's another example of people in power who screw up, and they try to cover up their screw up with an even bigger screw up that usually involves taking away more of your freedom, more of your ability to do anything as a human being. It's ridiculous. Why do we put up with this? Because they get in power, and once in power, they get a bunch of money from outside interests that want them to vote or act a certain way. And they can't be too obvious about it. But hey, your campaign money's a little bit short. You want re-election? Here's a couple of million. No, we can't give you that much directly, but we got ways of, little people handing money here and there. There's ways of doing this stuff. And, power, money is power. Power is influence. And power always has the ability to be corrupted. And you always have to be on guard for that. And I think we as a democracy in America kind of like forgot, what we're founded on. It's this right here, the Constitution of the United States. Anybody, I don't want to get too political on this, anybody that wants to be a president of the United States should protect and defend and swear to defend the Constitution of the United States. They should not try to be a king or a dictator. If this offends someone, I'm sorry, That's the way I feel. I, I believe in democracy, not dictatorships. I believe in presidents, not kings. Uh, that's just the way I am. And I think I believe in people telling the truth also. If you don't have the truth going on, if you continue to say lies, I mean, this applies to both sides uh, of the political spectrum, no matter on anything. Who wants to know? Who wants to be with someone that's a compulsive liar? Who wants to? It might be funny, but you don't want them in a position of power. You don't want them doing anything. Who wants someone that cannot handle classified information? This applies to both sides. Who wants them in a position where they can handle classified information? Political influence. Again, both sides. They're talking about their families gain because of their influence. Well, that always happens, man. It's called nepotism, I think. When you promote your children to positions of power in a government, that's called nepotism. It's not good. Nepotism, dictatorship, fascism, suppressing freedom of speech, content, what you can say online. Ugh. Artificial intelligence has a lot to do with this too, because, it's pretty easy to program them to catch certain words and everything. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is just a rant. And I may say things, like I said, that it will offend people. And like, oh, you're not going to vote for my guy. Well, then, hey, I have an international audience, all right? So, and I was born in England. I've lived in England also. So I've lived in a lot of different countries. I've experienced a lot of different forms of government and ways of people handling each other. And up until recently, America has been the best place in the world. It's been like the shining example of democracy. But not when you question our whole democratic system. When you say that, hey, votes are either real or not real. And if they're not real enough to influence an election, then yeah, we want to hear about it. But if you take it to court and you lose on every issue, and not one of them was about fraud, then you're lying. Why do we want liars? I don't like liars, man. I like people that tell the truth. I don't like people that are corrupt. I don't like corrupt politicians. Well, you're gonna get that no matter what, But anyways, hey, if you're in America, this is a democratic system. You vote the way you want it. That's why I don't like to talk about politics. I may even have to cut this part of it out, because I don't want my channel to be, I don't want people to feel like they've got to pick sides. I don't want people to get into a bunch of arguments. There's going to be differences of opinions on everything, on knife channels and stuff like that. If this looks like I edited this video, it's because I want to save this part of it, because I get off into stuff that I know is just like the third rail. There's third rail stuff that all you're going to do is spark controversy. But really, there's a lot of controversial stuff that's going on in our world right now that I'd like to be able to talk to you about and not offend people and not alienate people, all right? But that's kind of hard to do. I mean, people are easily offended nowadays about all kinds of things. And I don't want to sound like an old person or anything, but I am old. And I think the younger generation is too easily offended on a lot of stuff, Yeah, we want to cut out discrimination and we want to stop, bad behaviors, but the left went a little too far on their woke agenda, That's the same way with the electric vehicles. Now they're finding out that, hey, they don't always work that well in cold temperatures. They take forever to charge up. They catch on fire. Now all this is just an example of evolving technology. You look at it, they will look at it later on in life, if we live that long as a species. They'll go back and look at this and they'll say, "Ooh, that was the beginning when they had those weird batteries, that caught on fire." This is not one of them. Caught on fire and blew up and everything. But we evolved uh, beyond that, and we're going to evolve eventually beyond lithium as a source of power in flashlights. Just wanted to throw that one out there. So, in the rush to ban gasoline-powered vehicles, we found out, you know what? There's a lot of advantages to a gasoline-powered vehicle that an electric vehicle doesn't have, besides range and the ability to operate in cold and wet environments, common conditions you would find for vehicles to encounter. That's not to say that electric cars, should be totally eliminated, but neither should gasoline. It should be eventually phased out. Not like, now that I'm president, we're going to ban this, and we don't need oil and gas anymore. Really? Have you developed the infrastructure for your so-called miracle stuff yet? No, it's just a pipe dream, until you get it passed. So, phase it out. Not just like stop stuff. But, again, this is politics. Like I said, I criticize both sides of the spectrum. The only thing that it comes down to is, when it comes election time, is, does the person that's up there that's going to be representing us as the president, do they believe and follow the Constitution of the United States? If you don't like what's in the Constitution, there's a process of amending it. If you get it amended, then fine. Like if you want to ban all guns, then you're going to have to do something about the Second Amendment, because it says you can't do that. Now, to get that done, it requires 2/3 of all the states of the United States to agree to it. And there's a whole process to do it. Yeah, it's long and convoluted, You know how you can eliminate the Constitution of the United States? Declaring martial law. You declare martial law for whatever reason, all of your little rights and stuff like that are gone. I've lived under martial law before. All right? I was in Korea when martial law was in effect. And, yeah, you wouldn't like it. You wouldn't like it. You wouldn't like the restrictions. So, all I'm saying is, before we go too crazy in this election year and everything, I'm trying not to do any more discussion about it. I just wanted to get this out this one time, right? Up first. And if it alienates people and it bothers people and upsets them too much, I'm sorry. That's just the way I feel. I'm not super patriotic, but I believe in America. I believe in the Constitution of the United States. I served in our military. I don't have any respect for anybody that slams our military, slams disabled people, stuff like that. I just, and I don't like authoritarians from either side that just want to outright do stuff just all on their own because, well, the majority of the United States population doesn't agree with what you're saying. Well, it'd be better for society if I just did it through executive power or something. No, wrong. If everybody agrees on it, that's the problem. There's one thing called like the tyranny of the majority. Because then what do you do about the people that didn't, agree, whatever? You just kick them to the side? No, if you're going to be a democratic society, then once you're elected, no matter what political side, you try to represent everyone. In theory, that's the way it should work. That's what we've been told. But we've been told a lot of stuff that turned out to not be true. A lot of stuff that just turned out to be word salad, that people don't really believe in and stuff. Hey, that's fine. You do you, whatever you want to think and believe and everything. But me, like I said, If you want to know what I think or anything about it, I think this is the best attempt at allowing people enough freedom and keeping government enough away. Government's there, to help us. That's what we pay taxes for, general defense and all this other stuff. It's there to help us, not to control us and not to keep us down and not to, go after people for revenge or whatever. If they committed a crime, yeah, go after them. But if they didn't commit a crime and it's just because they're a different political party than you, then yeah, that's wrong. But anyway, sorry to get off on the political rant there, but I mean, it's just one of the things. It's just like censorship, man. There was so much I wanted to say during the thing that we cannot speak about that happened, where so many things were just thrown at us and said, well, we're scientists. You must believe us. Really? Scientists are wrong, and scientists don't say things as a mandate. They're like, this is the best knowledge that we've got right now. If it changes, we'll let you know, and we'll change the idea. If we say that this practice is good right now, and we later find out that, no, it's not good, it's bad, we change it. We don't just keep going with it because we've mandated it, and we don't want to look bad. Well, you were bad, and you did bad. And people died. Lots of people died because of bad decisions of people that we had placed in positions of trust. And they failed us. And they try to lie their way out of it. And, man, there's no getting around that, man. The dead will not rest in peace until the truth is known. And I don't know what the truth is. I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but I do know a lot of things that were labeled as conspiracy theory when this was going on turned out to be true. Turned out to be not conspiracy theory at all, but against the narrative. And that's the thing, man. When you go against the narrative, you better be prepared. Because even if you got facts on your side, they've got more power than facts. They've got the ability to censor, ban, control you one way or another through money, threats of taking money away from you, or your liberty. I mean, if you get vocal enough, if you become enough of an activist, you might as well paint a big target on your back and say, to whom it may concern. If you don't like what I'm saying, here I am. And yeah, the Red Cross turns into a red crosshair. Anyway, yeah, there you go. Sorry to get off on a rant. Like I said, I'll try to cut out the really offensive part on it. But I mean, if you got offended, that's not my intention. Like I said, I'm just going to have these as just rants that I put out, and I'm trying not to talk. I've really bit my tongue for years when stuff was going on, and I like I said, I don't want this to be alienating anybody. It's just me talking late at night, a cat situation and everything, buddy coming and going, and cold weather and physical and mental things going on. It's like, God, get hit with it from all sides. But whenever I run into situations like that, I think of like two things. Like when I was in the military, it's like put one step in front of the other. That's all you got to do. Keep going, keep on going, no matter what, and you'll get by. Usually. I mean, if you give up, that's it. You're gonna go down. But as long as you keep doing something, keep plodding on. Like, well, if nothing else, I got by today. I survived today, and hey, that's the whole thing about living, man, is just making it through another day. Sometimes you just got to make it through another day, and if you do, you should celebrate it. The next day you wake up. A lot of times I wake up and I go, wow, I woke up, because you never know. You might go to sleep and not wake up, and That's when you start thinking about unfinished business. Too late. You're not thinking about anything if you didn't wake up. But still, I don't want to get too morbid on this anyway. But there you go. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.